he's finite, he's temporal, he's like prone to like illness and no, not illness maybe, but he's prone to like harm and suffering. But in his divine side, he's like eternal, unchanging.
I understand that, but I think that's where the contradiction lies, because if you're saying there's one center of consciousness, and that center of consciousness is Jesus Christ, that center of consciousness is both limited and unlimited at the same time. It's human and fundamentally unhuman at the same time. That's what I'm saying. This is where the contradiction lies.
It seems like consciousness, though, like one awareness here with these two natures that are different. How would that be a contradiction actually? What would be the logic?
What I'm saying is that if you look at the attributes, of, for example, God, what are the attributes of God?
Eternality, all-powerfulness, creation, being uncreated, as they say, people on the line,
All right, so now what I'm saying is, if we talk about Jesus Christ, you're saying he has a human side and he has a God side, yeah? Human nature and God nature, fine, divine nature. I'm saying, so this Jesus is one center of consciousness, one person, okay? Jesus, one person, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now Jesus, the one person, is both human and God.
Yeah, chief man, chief God.
Yeah, all right. Now, I'm saying, when you're saying he's human, that means to say he's created.
Yeah.
He's created, he's limited, he's not omnipotent, he's not omniscient, he doesn't have all knowledge, he does not have all power, correct?
Okay, yeah.
But at the same time, he does have all power because he has a godly side. This is, for me, it's the same as someone saying to me that someone is a tall, short man, or that there's a circle squared.
But that would only be an issue if they were like a square circle is mostly like the square and circle at the same time in the same way.
Yes, that's what we're saying about Jesus.
We're not saying that about Jesus either.
I'm here, behind
you.
Okay.
He's not God and man yet in the same way, but they refer to distinct like natures of him. The natures are like that, but they're expressed in a single person now. You kind of get what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, but that's what I'm saying is the contradiction.
I mean, the thing is though, like I feel like when you use the analogy of the like square circle or tall short man,
it's not an analogy. It's just
I mean the example, right? Like, that doesn't really apply because in that case, right, the person is like those two things at the same time in the same way.
Yeah, that's what. Okay.
Jesus isn't the same those two things at the same time in the same way.
Okay, Jesus.
At the same time, but not in the same way.
Okay, listen. You said the same time, but not in the same way. All right.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any point where he doesn't exhibit either the human nature or the divine nature?
It'll be impossible for him if that's his nature. Like, it's like he
Right.
can't exhibit non-human nature.
So he exhibits both at all times. Okay. So therefore, the conditions of contradiction apply. There are conditions for contradiction to apply, right? If these conditions are that there are 8 conditions, for example, in some editions mentioned. But one of them is that if they're in the same place and the same time and they're opposite things, it's a contradiction. For example, if I say there's a tall man and a short man. If I'm tall today, I'm 6'6", okay? But when I was 6 years old, I was maybe like, I don't know, 3 foot tall or something. I don't know how tall they are, yeah? So I was short comparatively to how tall I am now when I was 6. So I was the same person, let's say, 2 different heights. There's no difference of opinion here. There's no contradiction here. But if I say, look, I'm tall and short at the same time, with that caveat, at the same, so I'm tall, I'm 6'6", but I'm 3 foot tall, both at the same time. Therein lies the contradiction. I'm saying with Jesus, if you're saying that he's all powerful and he's limited and that he's all knowledgeable, but he has limited knowledge, both at the same time. In other words, if he exhibits both the human nature and or if he possesses both the human nature and the divine nature in his one center of consciousness, then that's where the contradiction lies.
Yeah, so the way we will resolve that is by so there's lots of ways, and both developed, you know.
Say again?
There's a lot of ways we can reconcile that.
Okay, go ahead.
Like, first way is like we say that Christ has 2 wills, first of all.
Sorry?
We say that Christ has 2 wills. We say that Christ has 2 minds.
God has 2 wills?
Yeah. No,
Christ
has 2 wills and 2 minds, right?
Okay.
And so that can explain the differences there. Because if he had one mind that knew from didn't know things, that wouldn't make any sense. But he has 2 minds, right? And he has 2 wills, right? In one will, right, he can do anything. In another will, he is dependent and weak.
You're saying Christ has 2 wills?
Yeah.
That's new to me that you're saying that. That's interesting.
That's like, I think the heresy that has one will is called a coronarianism.
Okay, no problem. Let's go with it, that, yeah? The 2 wills. Which one is superior to which?
The divine, of course.
So, now if I ask you a question, right? If Christ has 2 wills, and Christ is part of the Trinity, So are there full wills in the Trinity?
No, because the human nature isn't a part of the Trinity. It's not part of the Trinity.
Okay.
Remember, we see it's called a hypostatic union, not hypostatic
Hypostatic
combination of
union.
names.
Okay.
It's a hypostatic union.
All right. So Jesus.
There'll be an issue for Oriental Orthodox.
Great. So Jesus is part of the Trinity,
Yeah.
but the divine Jesus is part of the Trinity, not the human Jesus.
Yes.
Yet,
Yeah.
the human Jesus and the divine Jesus are inextricably linked.
Unified, yeah.
How does that make sense?
What do you mean? How does it not?
Let me explain that again. You're saying, or you've said, that the figure of Jesus Christ has two wills.
Yeah.
You have the divine will, and then you have the human will. Jesus is part of the Trinity.
Yeah.
There is one center of consciousness called Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It possesses two wills.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, what I'm saying is, if that is the case and they're inextricably linked, then is there not full wills to the Trinity? If Jesus,
Jesus has one will, there's one will in the Trinity.
you've just said that Jesus has two wills.
Yeah, but the will of the divine side is the will of the Trinity. That's the Trinity's one will. That's the divine side has that one will.
So is the human side irrelevant
In what sense?
in the construction of the personhood of Jesus Christ?
Well, relevant. I mean, before he became unified to that human nature, it was relevant. That's relevant now because now they're unified. I don't know what you mean by irrelevant.
Okay.
Like he can exist without it. Yeah, if you mean that by that.
If Jesus Christ became unified with a human nature, then the fundamental nature of the Trinity, which is that you have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, that must have changed. If the Son now has two different natures.
Okay, I get your point now, yeah. So again, I think you're confusing, like, you think of it as a mixture. Remember, it's a union. They don't intermingle with each other. They're distinct from one another, yeah, but they're unified into one
Okay,
single
but the
person.
figure of Jesus Christ is part of the Trinity.
His divine nature is part of the Trinity, yeah. Not his human nature.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, if the divine nature is part of the Trinity,
Yeah.
Jesus is part of the Trinity.
Yeah.
Is there a connection between the divine nature of Jesus Christ and the human nature of Jesus Christ?
There is, but I feel like
What is that connection?
It's more of a union, like they're
Right,
together.
right. So now
They're
they're
not mixed, yeah.
I understand they're not mixed, but now they're inextricably linked.
Yes.
Right. So
Yeah.
so the fundamental nature of what it means to be Jesus Christ has changed post incarnation.
What it means to be the Son.
Yeah.
No, not really. Again,
So there was no difference. There's no change.
no, there's no change actually. No, because remember
Okay.
it's a union. So basically, it's kind of like
Okay.
he along his divine nature, right, his divine self, right, he had a human nature attached to it now. Yeah, that was
Okay.
mixing to him. But like,
So
now
is
it's
that
part
is
of
that
him.
is that attachment a change or is that not a change?
Oh no, we don't consider that a change. No, it's
So
not.
what is it then?
It's a union. We call it a union. That's what it is.
Okay, and is that union? Is that indicative of change or not change?
Well, it depends on how you use the word changer. Because I remember, I think we're kind of quickest in the word changer.
Is it a transformation?
No, it's not.
So what is it
But
then?
no, but my point though, I want to explain what the word change, right? You can change your clothes, right? You can change your clothes, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
You can change your mind, right?
Yep.
And let's
Fair-
say
fair
powers,
enough.
right?
Yeah,
If
you're-
you have
you're-
powers, right? And you could
Yeah.
change like you know that guy in X-Men that can change.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That,
Those
it's-
all changes, right? But
fine.
not necessarily the same way.
Fine.
So
And
like,
let
in
me-
a sense,
let-
you can use the word change.
Yeah, fine.
to
Let's
but
be
not,
more
not in the X-Men way.
Fair enough. That's good. That's so now you're being more specific. Like, what do you mean by change?
Yeah. No,
So-
now we're philosophers now, yeah.
Okay. Is there a change in the who-ness of Jesus Christ?
No, actually, still one who.
Okay. So when Jesus Christ, if you pointed at the human Jesus as he was alive,
Yeah.
being crucified on the cross, saying, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," yeah, God, why have you forsaken me? Would I be pointing at Jesus or would I be pointing at someone else?
You'd be pointing at a person.
And would I be pointing at Jesus Christ or someone else?
Well, there is no someone else. There's only one person there. So you'd be pointing at Jesus Christ.
So I would be pointing at Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So if that Jesus Christ that I'm pointing at, if I had pointed to, so this Jesus Christ is now part of the divine nature, is in union with the divine nature of
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
yeah.
However, he wasn't part of that divine nature in the past.
No, it wasn't. It didn't exist.
Okay, so what would you call the fact that if I were to point at the human being of Jesus Christ, at one point I would be pointing at Jesus Christ, and that if I didn't in the past, I would not be pointing at Jesus Christ. What would you call that kind of thing?
No. But remember, there's only one person. He didn't become a new person, a different person.
I understand,
Same person.
but you've said that he's taken a human form, right?
So when you say Jesus, right, that's the who there. That's the person. That's the hypostasis.
Yeah.
So before and after, it still be Jesus. It still be the same person. It still be
The human Jesus,
Yeah.
is that part of the who-ness of Jesus Christ?
No, remember that's nature. That's the whatness of it.
No, the human. If I were
The
to point,
who-ness is the word.
but when if I say the who-ness here, I'm talking about if I point at him, if I point at Jesus Christ, but whilst he's being crucified on the cross, according to you, we don't believe it, but we say crucified on the cross. Am I pointing at a person?
Yes, you are.
Yes. And who am I pointing at?
The word, the Son of God.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that Jesus Christ, what age was he when he was being crucified?
That's the basic. Let's say 33 basic arguments. 33.
No problem. Whatever you say. 33. Yeah. So 34 years before that, if I were to point at that cross or anywhere in the world, I would not be pointing at the human Jesus Christ because he would not be born. Correct?
He wasn't called Jesus Christ yet, but he'll still be the word. Still be the same
No,
person.
but the human Jesus Christ was not born 34 years before that in the moment.
I mean, I think of it this way, like, let's say you go to work, right? You wear a policeman costume, right? And I say you're a policeman, right? But earlier you wasn't a policeman. Does that mean you changed, or just like?
Yes, it does.
Now,
Yes, it does.
yeah, change it in that sense. In that sense, yeah, I agree. In that sense, yeah.
Okay.
But you're not changing as in like you become a different person. Or
I'm saying that 33 years
34
before, 35 years. Let's go 50 years before the alleged crucifixion. Was the human Jesus Christ on the earth or not?
It was not.
Okay. So 50 years before the crucifixion, he wasn't on the earth.
No.
Then he became on the earth.
Yeah.
What do you call this before and after? What do you call it?
Incarnation.
Incarnation. And what does the incarnation signify? Was there a turning point? Did it signify some turning point or not?
It signified the union between a created human nature to the divine nature, and it was expressing the one hypostasis of Christ.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
And that change that took place before and
It
after.
wasn't a fundamental change, it wasn't an eternal change, it wasn't a nature change, but more so like this more so like an expression.
Compositional change.
Yeah, compositional change, yeah. Like
Oh,
expression.
fantastic.
No,
Okay.
Compositional.
Yeah.
Now we get into like kind of early church Christology, but to make it simple, expression. We can express differently.
Well, it's more.
Early expressed solely by divine nature. After the incarnation, it can be expressed through a human and divine nature.
It's not just expression.
Yeah.
Because if I were to point at the Jesus Christ 35 years after that point, or when he was on the cross, say, if I were to point at him, I'd be pointing at, if I say, who's that? Would that be an unintelligible proposition? If there was someone on the cross, I'd say, who's that?
And the word of God, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, great. So you would answer it.
Yeah.
Good. So the who-ness of Jesus can be expressed in a different way.
Define who-ness. When you say who, right, you're talking about the person or the nature. Because the person didn't change. The person was same before and after.
That's what I'm saying.
The whatness changed.
What I'm saying here is
The
that
what was changed.
no. I'm talking about the person. I am actually talking.
Oh yeah. So yeah, same. Before Jesus before.
Well, here's what I'm saying. That's why I'm debating with you right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying that if I were to say, if the Jesus Christ was there, and I were to point at him and I say, who's that?
Yeah.
Or someone said, who's that? And he pointed at him and he was alive, walking in the earth. I'm saying, is that an unintelligible question or is it an intelligible question?
Intelligible question, yeah.
It's an intelligible question.
Yeah.
And can it be answered?
Of course, yeah.
Yes. Now, would that answer be the same when he was alive versus before he was born, or would it be different?
I guess like if I met Jesus Christ in the Old Testament, right, as like a figure in like into the Lord.
Do you understand my question?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, let me put it in a different way for you. Jesus, give me a second. Jesus Christ walking about in the earth, yeah. The human nature of Jesus Christ is being expressed.
Yeah.
You'd accept that's the human nature, yeah. Someone at his time points at him and says, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
That's an intelligible question.
Yeah.
Okay. And if someone replies to that question, that's Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
35 years before that, so before he was born, that question, who's that, would be unintelligible because there would be nothing to point at, correct or not?
What do you mean nothing to point at?
There's no human manifestation of Jesus Christ 35 years before the crucifixion.
I mean, you'd be pointing at God then, you'd be pointing at...
No, you wouldn't be pointing at anybody. If I...
He exists, doesn't he exist?
No, now you're confusing yourself. Because if I said to you, look, just let's be fair and real, right?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ walked the earth.
I mean, you said he would, nothing there. What do you mean by
Listen.
that? He exists before he was born.
Jesus Christ walked the earth.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. If he was walking around in Bethlehem, in Jerusalem, wherever he walked, ascending, coming down, honeycomb, broiled fish, on the cross where you believe, whatever. Someone said to him, who's that? You were there. Let's pretend we take you in a time machine.
Yeah, Jesus over there, yeah.
You say, who's that? First of all, does that question make sense?
Of course, yeah.
Yes, it does make sense. Now, if someone replied, that's Jesus Christ, would that be the correct answer? Yes, it would be the correct answer. Now, 50 years before that point, where Jesus was not born in the stable, and the three wise men didn't come to him and all that stuff. Before that situation happened, according to you, if someone were to point anywhere on the earth, or in the universe, in fact, and try and find this Jesus Christ, they would not be able to find him.
No, they wouldn't.
Right. So the question, who's that? If they were to point anywhere in the universe, they would not be able to. They would be unintelligible. Correct?
Yeah.
All right. So now we have a difference in who-ness before and after the birth of Jesus Christ.
Are you sure there's a difference of who-ness or more so
Yes,
like,
because we've just explained how it's the difference in who-ness. Because before his birth, you could point at him and say, that's Jesus. After his birth, you can do that. Before his birth, you couldn't do that. So of course there's a difference.
Because he wasn't incarnate yet, he wasn't incarnate, that's why.
That's what I'm saying. The point is that I'm saying the doctrine of the incarnation has brought about a logical fallacy, a contradiction which cannot be reconciled by the human mind.
Because before he was incarnate, I couldn't find him anywhere, how does that lead to a...
I'm saying that the hypostatic union or the doctrine of the incarnation, which many church fathers base on the first chapter and the first verse of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and so on. And the Word became flesh. Okay, listen. So the doctrine of the incarnation and the idea of the hypostatic union, one must admit that there is a fundamental change, not just in the expression of God's attributes, but in the who-ness of God himself. Or in fact, let me put it in this way, because I'm using the word God, but I should be using the word Jesus. But of course, you'd be using it interchangeably. I say, look, Jesus Christ, before and after the hypostatic union, were two different. You could express the who-ness in two different ways. So if I were to point, there is nothing. No, I'm saying who. I'm saying
Define who.
Okay.
Is
Who?
That person?
Yes,
or?
person. What the difference between who and what in the English language or any language?
Well, I'm using it more in the traditional sense.
Okay. Well, fine.
Sense,
In the English language, any language, what is inanimate?
Yeah, you say.
Okay, and who is animate or personal, right?
Yeah.
So we don't say what is that and point out human being, unless you want to become racist,
or rude.
or rude. We don't say this.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You understand? So, if I'm saying now,
But
when we look at Jesus Christ, the human, yes, which you agree has a human side. When he was according to you, he's on the cross. Yeah, he said, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, God, God, why have you forsaken me? If someone points and says, who's that? That question will be intelligible propositionally. But if before that time...
It'll make sense, this question.
Yes, the question makes sense. That's what I'm saying right now. The question makes sense.
Can you now say, where is God? Can you say that right now? Is that a simple question?
Where is God is not the same as who is God. As that's what we're in two different things. You're not understanding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Where is God is different to who is God.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm saying to you that your problem is not in where is Jesus. Your problem is who is Jesus.
Oh, same people
Now, what I'm saying is that before the hypostatic union, your answer to the question of who is Jesus has fundamentally changed. And so before the hypostatic union, before the incarnation, you must maintain that the question who is Jesus has two different answers. Before, you're saying that it was just the divine essence. After, it's the divine essence and the human essence.
Okay.
Correct or incorrect? Correct. So now we're in a problem. But now your God has changed. Now it's a problem. Because your God has now a human element, has anthropomorphized, has humanized. Do you understand the problem here? So, and the contradiction lies in the following. How can God change on a level which causes impossibility? It's not just any level. It's the fact that God is changing and he has two sets of attributes which are contradictory with one another. On the one hand, he's all powerful. On the other hand, he's limited. He can be whipped and spat at and, go to the toilet and don't know what the fig trees and all that. So it doesn't make sense. That's why it's an affront to common sense. That's why it's obscene to the logical process.
Okay, yeah.
I must say this.
I think I get your point now, yeah. So, go back to the whole Hunas, right? The Hunas before and after changed, right?
Yes.
I mean, tell back. The Hunas before and after was the same. The same hue before.
No, it wasn't the same.
Hue after, yeah.
No, it wasn't the same. As I said to you before, now before and after the hypostatic union, the incarnation, whatever. If you're saying that there was a union between the two natures of Jesus Christ, the human nature and the divine nature, before Jesus, before the Word became flesh, okay, before the hypostatic, before anything you want, you cannot maintain that God had or Jesus had both those natures. So he has a new nature now, new, N-E-W, which means it wasn't there before.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Which means now, if I were to point out Jesus, say, who's Jesus? Jesus, the divine one, do you want? Or do you want the human one? We have two Jesus now.
No, remember, the human nature did not instantiate
Two natures.
The human nature did not instantiate all, yeah.
Of course it did. Instantiate, it became flesh. It was there in the human walking around. It didn't instantiate at all. Is that what you're saying?
It's actually, but not as a hypostasis. It didn't form another hypostasis, rather. It was simply expressing the person of Jesus Christ, the person of the Word of God.
The human expression was manifest for all to see on the cross. Otherwise, the cross means nothing. Otherwise, the crucifixion means nothing. Otherwise, it's all fiction. So you can't say it didn't instantiate at all. It did. Because you believe in the doctrine of the ascension. You believe in the doctrine of the crucifixion. You believe in the doctrine of the resurrection. So when that was happening and people could see it according to you, was that a physical instantiation or was that not a physical instantiation?
So when I say instantiation, right, what I mean there, so firstly, right, the abstract would be the nature, right, and the concrete would be the person hypostasis there. It didn't concretize into an actual hypostasis as an absolute person to Christ. There's still one person there, but now he just had another expression now. He had a human flesh expression and a divine expression alongside each other.
You're using the word expression to try and run away from the fact that the who-ness of God, according to you, the who-ness of Jesus Christ, fundamentally. So look, if Jesus Christ is God, do you believe he's God?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Jesus is God, yes? Yeah. And before and after, this Jesus God, he now has a new nature, a human nature, which he didn't have before. So your God changed, correct?
And he changed in the X-Men sense.
Whatever.
He changed in the sense of
he changed in who-ness. He changed now when I say who.
One who, not two.
Are you sure about that?
It's one who, yeah, one who.
Okay, so one who, yeah?
Yeah, one who. Yeah.
Okay, you said Jesus Christ has two wills.
Yes.
Okay, two wills, and he has two natures, correct?
Yeah.
He has what? The human nature?
The divine nature.
And he has the divine nature.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is the human nature the same as the divine nature?
No.
Great. So now Jesus has a human nature, and if I were to point at it, it's intelligible for me to ask, who is that? And for someone to answer, it's Jesus Christ.
Point at the nature.
Pardon?
Point at the nature, do you say? Point at the nature.
Not at the nature, because that's a Neoplatonic thing. I'm talking about the actual Jesus. Is that a manifestation of Jesus? The nature of, the person of Jesus.
Yeah.
If I were to look at when Jesus Christ in the book of Matthew is walking to the fig tree and he's saying, he doesn't know if he's cursing the fig tree because it's out of season. Yeah? You know this. You know this verse.
Of course, yeah. Fig tree.
You know about that, yeah? Okay, if Jesus now is looking at the fig tree because it's out of season, that Jesus, if I were to point and say, is that Jesus? Is that Jesus? Would you say yes?
Yeah.
Okay, is that human Jesus?
Well, it's Jesus.
Is that the human Jesus? Is that a representation of the human nature of Jesus or the divine nature?
So exactly. We don't talk about that basically. We don't make that distinction like
you don't make a distinction even.
No, because what you're getting into there is just coming to historianism. We're not historians. The historians will make that kind of claim.
I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
Yeah.
I'm not asking the historians.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're describing historianism. We're describing historianism.
No, I'm not describing historianism. I'm asking you. Okay. In your understanding of the hypostatic union, in your understanding of the incarnation, in your understanding of the Trinity and Christological process, I'm asking a question. If I were to point at that Jesus, who am I pointing at?
Jesus, the person Jesus. The person.
Beautiful.
Like, if I point at you, I'm not pointing at human nature or I'm pointing at Mohammed Hijab. If I point at you, I'm pointing at your human nature or Mohammed Hijab.
I'm saying that your point, there's only...
Same logic,
no, it's not the same logic. I am saying there's no contradiction between the human nature and Mohammed Hijab. There's only the human nature with Mohammed Hijab.
Yeah.
Do you understand? I know some people think I'm a better human. That's a different situation, different story. That's something. But what I'm saying is that there is no conflict of... What we're saying is that your human nature construct, there's a conflict, direct conflict with the divine nature. You can't be all powerful and not all powerful at the same time. Do you understand this point?
It depends. Not in the same way, yeah. But remember, they're essentially differently. So like, so of course we agree that God can't die, right? God can't die, right? In his divine nature.
Do you believe
right?
Jesus is one person or two people?
Of course, one person.
One person.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, that's
excellent.
This whole time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Jesus Christ was one person.
Yeah.
Yet, he has two natures which have contradictory attributes. Do you accept this proposition?
Yeah, sure.
Beautiful. That's all I wanted you. Live with that, please. Live with that, because that's what's going to take you to the hellfire. I'm being honest with you. Because the fact that you can, that will take you to the hellfire.
I use the word paradoxical.
No, it's not paradoxical. Yeah. You've said it yourself. You have just now challenged logic fully. You've said F you to logic. You put the middle finger to logic. If I use the same reasoning that you've just used with theology in architecture or engineering or anything else, nothing. If I said to you, listen, go on a plane. Do you see that plane there? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Can you see it's got that flashing red light? Now, before you go on that plane, I'm going to use your same principles of enduring contradictions in the geometric process. Let's endure it. So when now the architects are putting together, let me just finish. When the architects are putting together the engine for the plane, they'll use contradictory calculations, yeah, and so on. They don't mind that. They're okay with that. Okay, get on that plane. Let's see what it does with you. And if you fly the plane and then there's a crash straight away, I'm going to say you're a fool. We've already told you that this is a death trap, and you've gone into it.
I think you make
it no, I'm being serious. Honestly, genuinely, bro. Honestly, with all due respect, you've accepted. Just allow me. Let me just finish the train of thought. All I want us to do is be fair and honest, Aki. Yeah. You're a good man. I like you.
You don't know me.
No, but you're coming across as respectful.
Thank you.
Okay, and I accept that. I want you to now realize something. If you accept this for yourself, yeah, that you can have a person who you consider to be God with two contradictory set of attributes.
Don't make it category again.
You said that on the camera, bro. Like
I know, but like I had implied a category distinction though.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I mean, like you're making it as though there's one category there, and that one category is this and that.
No,
at the
it's
same
not
time.
category error.
Yeah, that's category error.
Well, why?
Thing is though, I'm making it because there's a category distinction though. There's distinction of categories there.
What?
There's the human nature and the divine nature.
I know
I
understand that. What I'm saying is that those two are incompatible. I'm saying you've said it yourself. You said that you've got the human side and he's got the godly side. I'm saying that will take you to hell. That's a ticket to the hellfire. Because of all due respect, and this is.
I mean, I'm saying that. I mean, I think you're going to hell too. You're going to go to hell.
No, I know, no problem. I'm saying to you that is a ticket to the hellfire, because now God has made it easy for you. That's why the Quran offers the most simple argumentation ever. Him and his mum used to eat food, showing you the human limitation. All I need to show you is that these people cannot be God, because they have human limitations. You've accepted that. Okay, there is a contradiction between the human limitation and the godly attribute. Now that you've accepted that and you're living with that, you want to die with that, yeah? You want to accept that a human being, a Middle Easterner like me, yeah, is your God that you bow down to, yeah, with human limitation, you bow down to that, then okay, that's where I would say to you, that's fine. You live with that, you die with that. As for me, I personally believe that there is a God with no attributes similar to human beings in the sense of limitation. No limitation to a God ever.